Welcome to the Louisa Project 2027, where we discuss education, entrepreneurship, and innovation. Today we're going to see an interview that I did last week while I was in Europe. This is my personal favorite of the interviews I've done. I interviewed somebody who I love, respect, and really cherish their friendship. My best friend, Kingsley Hayford, and you're going to learn a lot about him in the next in the interview. But he is my absolute best friend, besides my lovely wife, obviously. He's always been there for me when times were really rough. He's a brilliant guy. He's got a lot to offer, and he literally changed the face of basketball in Europe, especially in the Netherlands. It's a great interview. Listen up and please enjoy. I had a blast, as you'll see in a few minutes. All right, thank you. Welcome to the Louisa Project 2027, where we discuss education, entrepreneurship, and innovation. In today's show, we have a treat. My best friend, mentor, and confidant, Mr. Kingsley Hayford, is with us, and he's going to discuss his life in youth sports and being a turnaround specialist for semi-pro basketball teams in Europe. Without further ado, I'll let Kingsley introduce himself and tell you a little bit about himself. Kingsley?
Yes. Thanks, my dear friend and brother, Michael Redmond, and the opportunity to share my experiences with you all. My name is Kingsley, as my brother says, Kingsley Hayford. I live in Maastricht, in the southern part of Holland. I've been living here for about 28 years, and I've been very deeply involved in the social and the local organization of sports as a tool to really keep kids off the street and try to get them involved in the community here. It's been a big success. Right now, I'd like to go ahead and share some of my experiences with you.
All right, my man. All right,
let's go.
we're gonna rock and roll now. Let's do this. All right, now we're getting serious now. Okay, so we're gonna let's start from the beginning. All right, you started off in youth sports here.
Yeah.
It's my understanding that when you first started, basketball was nearly non-existent here in this area of the
Close to non-existent. Yeah. Close to non-existent.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the program that you ran that really brought basketball to Maastricht in the Netherlands.
Well, first I have to say this. I'm really a basketball fanatic. I mean, I can talk about basketball all day. I can talk about basketball all day. I mean, it's my life. But also, teaching the sport is something that I enjoy doing. You know, apart from the fact that I played myself for a while, and you know, for all my experience that I've had over the years, I think it's a good thing to impart that into the new generation, you know, coming up. But when I started basketball here in Maastricht myself, I was around 1998, so that's a long time ago. Yeah, that's a long time ago. I mean, it was not the idea.
I wasn't even born yet.
Yeah. Oh. No, but when I started this, I really didn't know where it was going to go. I really wanted to share my experience with the kids, but it took off like, you know, bushfire. I went to one of the schools and tried to get the kids involved. I organized a day clinic and stuff like that. But when they got what I wanted, what I was really trying to teach them, they were sold. You know, I mean, it was in a short time. I had about 8 to 10 schools requesting that I come in and do clinics and, you know, do some demonstrations and get the kids going in basketball. Fortunately, the club I was working with, I was coaching at, they were also interested in getting into their youth programs. You know, so it was a perfect situation.
Yeah, that is.
You know, it was a perfect situation. And the third factor that really fueled everything was that around the same time there was this type of program in big cities in Holland where they wanted to use sports as a tool to really keep kids off the street and get them busy going. So personally, all these factors fell together at the right time.
It's all about timing, yes.
Yeah, it's all about timing.
Yes.
And so it went very easy from there on. You know, I had all these parties who were interested in what I had. You know, I mean, if you have an idea and you see other parties that have interest in the idea you have,
makes things
and
much easier.
oh boy,
you get all kinds of support.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
That's great.
So it took off like that, and yeah, really the results was amazing.
Yeah. What Kingsley won't tell you, because he's a humble guy, is when we first got here, there was like no basketball courts, no public basketball courts in this area, right? In the city of Maastricht in the Netherlands, right? Now, you know, every little section of Maastricht has maybe 1, 2, maybe 3 courts, depending on the size of the area. Tell us a little bit about that, how things started picking up for basketball.
Well, like I said first, it started with a demonstration in one school. You know, apparently, I mean, I have that effect on kids when I walk in.
Big guy.
You know,
you can't tell because he's sitting down. Hey, you 6'5", 6'6"? No.
6'6".
6'6", yeah. He's a big guy.
And you know, when I start doing my magic with these kids and get them, I mean, everybody gets involved, and I have a way of really influencing the atmosphere in such a demonstration area, and that really caught on very big. You know, very big. Like, I mean, I'm not on this. I'm not exaggerating when I said very big. It really caught on. We had other schools, you know, soliciting my services over there to go there and do stuff. So I got my club also involved, you know. So the idea was that kids who are interested can go to the club, you know. But the step from just a demonstration lesson to competition in clubs was too big. There has to be a step in between.
Yeah, we've been there before.
So,
well, let me stop you, because most of our audience is American. So when Kingsley says club, it's not like in sports in America. It's a lot of times a school. It's part of the school, right?
I think you can compare that with AAU.
Yeah, it's sort of like AAU. It's a club system outside of the school system. So it's like Kingsley's like AAU or PAL when I was growing up. But these are clubs that specify
communities. Every community in the city has its own football, soccer clubs, volleyball clubs.
Yes.
You know, they have also basketball clubs. So it has nothing to do with school. You know, it's just
totally separate.
So every evening these kids come together and then they practice with their coaches and stuff, and they play competition against other communities or towns. So that's how they are developed. Yeah.
So that's how the club system works. So that's how sports works in most of Europe, right? Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
I was here for a while. I just want to make sure I'm getting it right. That's why I got a pro. Okay, so let's go back to what were we talking about before?
Yeah, we're talking about getting these kids into the club, like into the basketball,
feeding them into the basketball system, like a farm system.
Yeah, the step was too big. You know, there has to be, because I mean, when you get 2 or 3 demonstration lessons in your PT class, you know, it's not enough to get you playing competitive basketball. So there have to be a middle step, you know. But working with the local community, because the schools, most of the schools got interested in what I was doing. Okay, they started requesting through the local government, you know, saying, hey, well, we've heard about this Kingsley doing clinics in our school. We also want to have the Kingsley come into our school and do all these kind of things with the kids. And kids talk to one another.
Yeah,
different schools. You know, one kid goes home and explains, hey, we have Kingsley come to our school and did this demonstration and stuff like that. He goes to school and says, hey, tells the teacher, hey, we hear that the other school is having this kind of basketball demonstration lessons. Can we have it? And so we don't know about it. So they called the sports council, the local sports council, and so the local sports council eventually got to me and said, well, I mean, these other schools are really interested in what I'm doing. So if you can go in and do those kind of programs, really, it became something that I do all day, you know, go from school to school and organize this.
I know a little something about that.
So I mean, that was very successful. But the second step was that kids get so excited, you know, the parents started asking, hey, man, well, why can't we do that? So what I did was that, like I told you before, there was a program, you know, which was sponsored by the local government to keep kids after school program, basically.
Yeah.
Kids that keep them up, hanging around the corner. So what we did was that between school and the evening programs, we had a couple of hours. So what we did is we set up. First, we were using the gyms, local gym, and these kids after school who really are excited about what I did, my demonstration, so can come there for an hour, and then we work on, we play about. So we have different kids from different schools all come together in one gym, okay, and then they get after school lessons, and the parents come to pick them after after the lessons, and they go home and stuff like that. And that was the middle step to going. So now it gets more serious. When they really choose to come, then they're serious. They really want to know more. So now we can get into developing.
Before the demonstration, now you
exactly.
from demonstration to coaching.
Exactly. So that's the middle step that took place. So really, I mean, in that process, I got a lot of support from basketball clubs. Like the clubs, as we explained, they got involved and they supported the program and stuff like that. So because it's in their interest, because eventually these kids go in there and then they play competition. Getting in doing those programs in gyms, here we have the winter season, which gets dark very early and stuff. But during the summer period, the days are long,
very long.
In
this area of Europe, the sun does not go down until 10, 11 o'clock. And it comes up again like 5:30, 6 o'clock. It's coming back again. Very long days in this area of Europe. Okay.
So what we did was that because the idea of the local government is really get them outside, not really even in the sun. In the winter we're inside, but in the summer they want to get them outside.
Yes.
And so if they wanted to do that, they have because of the interest that was growing and the idea was that to get them to play basketball on the outside courts. By seeing the numbers that I was pulling from this, they started with putting out outside courts, one or two. Man, if you see how these kids took to play basketball on the outside courts, man, it was incredible. So basically they started in most communities in Maastricht. They laid down different basketball courts and stuff like that, and the kids were using. I mean, if the local government is putting out these facilities outside and the kids are using it,
everybody's happy.
Everybody's happy. Instead of hanging around smoking or doing all those kind of crazy things, they go there and they play basketball. So that was the first step, and to get them. It caught on. They were doing so. What we were doing, you remember those 3-on-3 tournaments? Come in there. So that was the next step.
Let me specify. Okay. I was here. I came to Maastricht in the military in '93. I was here from '93 to '96. And that's when I met Kingsley around 95. I think we met.
It was 95.
And it's because some of the American guys that I was working with were playing on the same basketball team with Kingsley. I'm not a basketball player. Let's be clear about that. I'm not going to tell you lies.
You tried it.
It's not my background. Exactly. All right. So just to be clear, I'm not a basketball player, but I hung around with the guys. They're American guys. We were on an international base. So of course all the Americans sort of gravitated to each other. Most of us were black, so we all gravitated to each other. We hung out together. And Kingsley became part of our family because they played basketball together. That's how we met. Now Kingsley brought us in to help promote and referee some of his tournaments, and it was an absolute blast. We'll talk about this. That's how he got me hooked on doing this stuff. We'll talk more about that in a few minutes. But, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, you were a DJ.
I DJ'd a couple of too because I can't play basketball. But I can blow a whistle and act like a ref, and these kids didn't know any better. Okay.
No, but I mean, when you talk about education and stuff like that, I mean, these are some of the stuff that really go into education. Most of these kids would have ended up, hanging around the corner smoking and doing nothing. But with these programs, they just really found a purpose, and they all flowed back into the basketball clubs, played competitive basketball. I was a coach of one of the teams actually that flowed. The kids sort of flowed into the team, into the competitions. And I think the first year we really did very well. We got to the national championship.
Wow!
And we placed, I think, 4th.
Wow! A bunch of kids that never played basketball.
Exactly. They played for 1 year. I mean, They had my program for about 6 months and practiced in club competition for a year, and just got to the. But they were playing against teams that have been practicing and playing competition for 3-4 years.
That's awesome.
And we came into the 4th place, so basically we were doing very well.
So they were playing Kingsley.
So when you talk about education and stuff like that, I think this is a part of education that really doesn't get enough attention. That in terms of these kids finding their passion and really taking to it and
finding balance.
Exactly in what they do. And that is some of the areas that I think more attention must be paid to.
I agree. Because a lot of schools, especially in the States, schools some of the sports programs some of them have lost sports programs, or sports programs have broken off and the city handles them. And a lot of it is funding. A lot of it is it's a mess. Honestly, it's a mess.
I don't know about the system in the States.
There's a lot of a lot of it is funding, because most school funding comes from local taxes. So especially local property taxes. So if the houses in a certain area aren't worth that much, there's not going to be a lot of property taxes going into that local community. And of course, the communities that are more impoverished have the least money going in. So it's a never-ending cycle. All right. So, but I'm on vacation. I'll tackle that more when I get back. But that's part of what we believe the Louisa Project can do is help people find ways to fix these problems through entrepreneurship and innovation, right? And talking to people like you with experiences like this can help people do that. Like, for instance, maybe somebody can come in and do like you did with basketball into maybe an area where those those things have been taken away because of finances, right? And maybe somebody a nonprofit could come in and fund somebody doing the same thing you did, going in doing some development for sports in the area. Now, I don't know if that's going on already. It may be going on already, but it's something that people can think about. And you don't have to starve doing it. And it can be your passion, but we don't think that you should be hungry because you're doing something that you love. Exactly. Because we've been through that. We've been there. So and that's sort of where we're coming from. That's where the entrepreneurship piece comes in. But
this model that I implemented here, that is starting from school. What we were doing was that Maastricht has about 32 schools. And these schools we divided the schools into sub regions. Okay, so we have about five or six schools in one region. So what they do is that they get at least 4 or 5 basketball clinics, and then these 5 schools will form school teams, and they will play one tournament.
Okay.
Just to finish it, so they get in 3 weeks basketball clinics in their physical education lessons. Now every class has 2 physical education lessons, 1 hour a week. So we take one of the physical education lessons for the top 3 classes, and then we do basketball. Okay, so we do that over 3 weeks, and then the 4th week on a Wednesday afternoon, after school, they will all come into the gym. Also, the schools will come with their teams, and we will put a tournament, and they will come all those, the party and stuff. So it's really
DJ.
DJ. So then we'll go. So from one region we move to the other region. So we have about 6-7 regions that we do that, and with every tournament that we do, we put on information where they can play basketball and everything. So by the time we go around the whole city, we will have enough players, interested children, really to go into our program, and they move into the after-school program. Okay,
the development program.
The development program, when they choose to know a little bit more about basketball. So it will be some kind. It was a period that we really couldn't get other sports to get involved, because a lot of kids who finally find out that basketball is nothing to them could have done other sports.
One other sport came in. We'll talk about that for a minute. What we've been hinting at for a while is, those of you who know me personally, know that I spent a lot of time in Europe doing around football, right? American football, right? I played for a year in Rotterdam, and I found out I had a medical condition that I couldn't play anymore. So, and other than getting old, so I started coaching, and this is around the time that me and Kingsley were becoming friends. And when I was helping him with these things, he made this crazy suggestion. He suggested that maybe you can do the same thing with flag football that he was doing with basketball. I thought about it. I was like, that sounds like fun. He talked me into it, and I tried it. You know, I got some flags, I got a couple of footballs, and he hooked me up with the school and the local monster government. He got me in those rooms, and we pitched the idea, and they were all for it.
Yeah.
And Kingsley coached me through. He coaching me through this. He mentored me through the whole process of dealing with all these kids, because I'm not great with kids. I needed all the coaching I could handle, right? And he helped me through this process. And it was an amazing success. It was successful. It wasn't a financial success. The kids loved it. And it was great for everybody involved, but it wasn't good for my pocket. But at the same time, I loved it so much, I got out of the military to continue to do that in hopes that things would pick up. And during that time, the NFL Europe was still here in Amsterdam, and we were hoping that something would happen between us and you know, since I'm down here doing this thing and basically out in the provinces, as they say, doing this thing, that I could hook up with the admirals and they would help me help fund this, and we could find sponsors. But it never panned out like that. And you know, life goes on. You know, I was coaching other teams in Germany and Belgium and here in the Netherlands, and you know, life moved on, and you know, it didn't work out, but it was a blast. Introduced several kids, I guess, thousands of kids really to American football, and here in the Netherlands. And I had a couple of guys still playing. A couple of my guys are still playing, and a couple of them made the national team. You know, I'm not gonna take all the credit, because I mean, they were good kids, they were smart kids, and they were good athletes, and all we did was try to train.
Chris Strahan.
Chris Strahan came and helped me out. He came and took over after I decided I had to move on. Chris Strahan, Michael Strahan's brother. He came through, and he took that the team that I was coaching. He took them to the national championship here in the Netherlands, which was awesome. Thank you, Chris. If you ever watch this, I'm gonna hit you up. All right. I got a question. I never asked you this question before. We've known each other, I don't know, almost 25 years, however long it's been. I never asked you, how many kids do you think you've introduced to basketball?
Oh my God! Now, let me put it into perspective.
Okay.
Yeah. I did this for 10 years. Okay, I did this program for 10 years. The school program for 10 years. So you can do the math. We can play around with the numbers and say this. Okay. So Maastricht had, I think, 35 elementary schools. Yeah. And for 10 years, I was doing this in this 32 schools, and with only the top 3 classes. And so 3 classes, the 3 classes mostly will combine about, let's say, 30 kids in a class, okay, times 3, that will give you about, say, 90 kids. Okay, so for every school, 90 kids. Okay.
Times 32.
Times 32 for
year.
10 years.
God.
No, there's the point I'm saying. I mean, so many kids went through my hands, and up till now, when I walk in the city, I see people who say, "Is that Kingsley? Is that Kingsley? Is that Kingsley?" I turn around, I don't know who.
You know what I'm doing up there with little kids. You saw
exactly. So, golly, I never could walk on the streets of Maastricht and not know. Have been known. Basically, almost everybody knew. Even what's funny about that is that I go in and we do this PT lessons, and maybe it's a last lesson. Mostly it's a last lesson of the day, or just of the afternoon or something like that. So when you come out, I mean, these kids go out, and when the lesson is over, the kids go out, you know, and then you wrap up and clean up, and then so when I'm going out. These kids will be with their parents and stuff like that, and they'll be pointing at, "Oh, that's Kingsley, that's Kingsley." So basically, it's not only the kids who got to know me,
Yeah.
but the parents too.
You can't hide. Kingsley can't
actually hide. When I go out in a restaurant or a cafe or something like that, oh, you are the teacher of basketball. Oh, you are. So basically, how many kids? Who? Boy, that's.
So 10 years,
That's a
90
crazy
kids,
number.
32 schools. That's a lot of kids.
That's a lot of kids. That's the whole.
I'm not even gonna do the math.
That's the whole
math.
Even the schools that I didn't do programs, these kids are friends with other kids who have done the program. They talk about it, and because I'm in town, maybe a group of friends, maybe a group of 5 kids, and 3 of them have received from me blessings from me, but the 2 not, and they meet me and they say, "Oh, that's Kingsley." So the 2, although I have not been in their class teaching basketball,
but that's Kingsley.
And also the after-school program, you see kids from other schools where I have not worked over there come in, and you know what I mean.
Yeah,
so basically, the number is just, but I'm sure that at one point, kids between 13 to 18 to 20 years, all the kids in my street between 13 and 20 years knew who I am. Wow. So I just, it's, I can say I was more popular than the mayor of my
You could have been the mayor. Mayor Kingsley. So one of the things, I'm trying to think. Before we transition to the coaching piece, and change management, another thing you need to understand about clubs is that clubs have several different levels of play, right? So if you could join a club as a little kid and stay in that club, grow up in that club, and play ball in that club as an adult, all the way up to the semi-pro, and perhaps I guess it would be pro level here, depending on the club you're in, right? Because each area, some areas have some seriously pro clubs, and there's some good players have come out of Europe, as many of you basketball folks know. Some good players have come out of Europe, and that's the one thing. The second thing is Kingsley mentioned how well his team did. Now I'm going to tell you what we call Kingsley ball. Those of us that know Kingsley, Kingsley coaches a style of play. He can explain it better than me, but this is my understanding. He coaches a style of play that's sorry folks, balls to the wall, baseline to baseline. Hustle basketball, heavily defensive minded. Now, I'll let him explain for you basketball heads. We'll explain your stuff, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, my philosophy in basketball is very simple. I mean, you have to work harder than your opponent works. If your opponent is working harder than you are, I don't care how talented you are. You are setting up yourself for a disappointment because it boils down to hard work.
You hear that?
And the saying that makes this very simple is that hard work beats talent, and talent does not work hard.
I got that. Yeah.
On the other hand, if talent works hard, you fuck.
Yeah.
Excuse my language.
Don't worry about it. I'll beat that. I'm not keeping that out.
That saying explains everything about basketball. For me, that's all about basketball. And there's no part of basketball that demands hard work than defense.
Amen. Yeah.
Than defense. So basically, everything starts on defense. You want to generate energy in your style of play, it starts with defense. I don't think you can really generate energy from offense enough to win a game.
Okay.
If you work hard on defense and you can frustrate the other team, it's not about your energy being higher than the other team's energy. It's about the other team's energy being lower than that. You can influence it.
No, you can take away from it.
Exactly.
Okay.
You can rip a team's heart by frustrating them every time. And as if you have 5 guys on the court doing that, you increase your chances of winning the game by tenfold. I think that's my point of view.
I'm a defense guy. That's my point of view. I'm with them. I'm 100% with them.
On the other hand, discipline is everything. I don't care how hard you work if you don't have the discipline
to be where you're supposed to be,
make the right decisions based on what we've talked about, what we have agreed to do. If you don't have that discipline to execute, do things the way is required of you, that team concepts goes out of the window. You know, so these two things you can almost not separate them: hard work, discipline.
Absolutely. Okay.
You know? So I think every coach should start when you get a new team. I don't care what the situation is. You have to make this a simple understanding, and I use the word simple. It's never simple, but it's a simple understanding that you and your team have, that we work hard and with discipline.
Those are the keys.
I would say don't move on to anything else until these two things is an understanding, not for one practice, not for one game, but this is how we live.
That's it. The team's personality, the team's philosophy. Yes.
And that's where it starts for me.
Okay, all right. But now we're getting ready to transition. Did you want to say anything else about the youth? You work with the youth. Did you want to say anything else?
Well, I mean, basically that's how far. All I can add is that this model. I mean, when I built this one, built this totally my idea. You know, I started going to the schools and getting these. I don't know the other. I don't know about other parts of the country then. But that was what I did. You know, came the idea of the middle step after school program and the club program. So this became a model that was adopted by the national government. You know, as a program, they asked me to write, you know, a total report on it, plan on it, and report on it. And they took it, and they approved it, and they really took. There are cities in Amsterdam, Rotterdam, and all those places. They took over that program.
I didn't know that.
Really.
See, that's why we do interviews, so we can learn stuff.
That was it was taken over and was implemented with a lot of success, though.
I bet.
Because there were a lot of social programs in all these cities that were stuck. You know, they really didn't know how to go about it.
They had some funding and they didn't know how to do it. Okay.
They didn't have a program that really connect one from one point A to point B to point C. You know, they knew where they wanted to go, but how to work this out to them. But when they saw how I worked this out, it took up, and they took it as a national program, and a lot of communities benefited from it.
I didn't know that, my man.
Yeah, really.
I mean, because when I left Europe, I left Europe in 2000 going contractor, but I was in and out, but I didn't know it had gotten that big. Well, I didn't know that. I can say I played a role in that. I knew Kingsley win. So
and I told you about the political side of it. I didn't get any credit for that.
Of course not.
My boy, I wrote down. That's how politics.
We know how that works.
when the program got there, they got adopted. They didn't say Kingsley's program. No.
But we're setting the record straight here. Louisa Project 2027. We're setting the record straight. All right. So, we'll have some contact information for Kingsley. If you're interested in a program like that, he can help consult on that. So just let us know. You know, you fly him in. He'll walk you guys through the steps if that's something you wanted to do. Take his plan out, change it back to English. But if you want some consulting help on that, please contact us. There'll be contact information underneath the video here in the comment section, and rather in the right below the video. I mean, I'm not even trying to think about that. All right. So now we're going to transition into change management. Right now, another thing that you guys don't know about Kingsley is I mentioned earlier. He's a turnaround specialist. He'll go to a club that's doing fair to middling, sometimes very poorly, and they bring Kingsley in because of his style of ball. He'll turn that club around in 1, 2, 3 seasons. That's his thing. So I'm gonna let him talk a little bit, and we're gonna try to take a look at this as managing change in other aspects, whether it be business or whether it be your personal life, or how your personal life can meld with your business. So let's talk. I'll let Kingsley talk about how you view change management.
The youth program that I talked about from school was this. I was working with Blue Stars Ministry. It was also a basketball club here, and out of that program I started. But when I started working with this club in terms of basketball development and stuff like that, The situation inside there was terrible. They didn't have members. Coaches were not motivated. They were not competitive. It was more like babysitting program. Kids can come in. Give
the basketball.
But I mean, they were okay with it. They wanted it, but they didn't know how to go about to change this. But in these type of situations, it's all about the culture in the club. That's where it all started. I mean, and this it's incredible how these kind of situations just develops, and without you really knowing
how you get there. And then once you get there, you get comfortable. At one point it becomes a comfort zone. You don't want to be there, but once you're there, and you turn around and you see where I am. If you look at your way of getting back or moving forward or getting out of it, whichever way you look at it, it takes so much effort that you kind of get comfortable
at it.
We're good. So we'll be all right.
So
we'll drink some beers after practice.
And then everybody gets comfortable, and everybody thinks, well, that's the way it's going to be. It's going to be. They get used to it, So personally, I think in changing the situation, like we talked about changing, it's first to tackle the culture in the club. You got to have take a very good look at it and say where the problem is. Because people most of them, if you ask them, they wouldn't even know why. They don't see anything wrong with the situation.
We're just doing bad right now. Things are getting better next year.
And also they find they don't want. A typical example is that I was in the club and I was playing basketball with them and I was having fun with them and stuff like that. But I know that I could sense it. It's easier because I was from outside. I just came in. I didn't go into it, but I
new set of eyes.
So I could really look at the situation from a different perspective. They have been in so long that they don't even have any ways of looking at it with any perspective. They've gotten used to it, so it's acceptable for them. But for me, it was unacceptable, because I didn't have that luxury of having gotten used to it. You know what I mean? So I could easily say that you don't have kids coming in. The kids that are in are not disciplined, they're not motivated, they're not competitive. So they're used to that. The coaches accept it. So you can't do that. So the first thing you see is that the culture in the club, and that has to change. That's one. And the second, where do you start? It's effort. And at one point, you have to find out you don't have that much effort, so you have to make a decision. There are some generation that you might be able to change, and there's the generation that you can say, this will take me too much effort. You know what I mean? So basically you have to have a cutoff point. Okay, this group of kids, at times, mostly after 16 years, it's difficult to change them.
Remember, it's after 16 years old, folks.
No, I mean, when that old and they've been in that culture for so long, because basically at that age, their education is very important for them. Okay. And
basketball is just recreation.
They get into relationships and they have a lifestyle already, and trying to change them will be an uphill battle, because you have to in any change they have to be motivated. So you have to have something that they can look up to and say, yes, I want this so bad that I'll have to sacrifice some of my time that I put into my relationship, my education and stuff like that. Because at 16 years your time you put into education is more than when you're 14 years. You have to study more than that. So basically, personally, my cutoff point is 16 years and older. They can go.
Go on back with
go ahead with things like that, and then from the rest, the lower than that, we try to find coaches. We try to give a different approach to stuff, give different spin to stuff, and try to give them a goal, motivate them, and try to get things going. And that's how I approach a club when I come in. I look at the culture that is, which areas need a little bit of change of attention and stuff like that. And then secondly, where is my cutoff point? Which group? At times you can have a group of around 16 years and maybe a bit older, that you see that although they are in a club that is not motivated, you see some of these kids that love the sport, they have passion for the sport, they want to do it, but the culture
doesn't allow it.
If I have a situation like that, I know that these kids are hungry, they want to do something. That I can,
you can adapt to.
Exactly. So that's part of the evaluation. There are even at times that you can have 14-year-olds that you think lost generation. I can do my. No, it's a hard decision. You really,
it's like triage.
It's not different from business or anything. There are times you have to make those hard decisions. You can have a group that talent-wise there isn't that much inside. They might be 14 years, at times maybe even younger, but little talent, no drive. They're not a lost generation as opposed to. What you can do with them. It's just that there's not enough talent in them, and character-wise, you won't be able to have that energy to put it. If you go back now and take 8 years, 7, 8 years, 9-year kids, you can do a whole lot.
You can build them into something.
So if you have the resources to really do that change, and mostly you do that with getting them into basketball camps in the summers or in the break, like Easter holidays. If you have 5-6 days, you got them into some camp. You get other top coaches to come in, and but all this, you can do all these things. But the point is that at times you might be putting too much on their plate that they can. That is an evaluation.
Your time is limited because you got year-to-year.
Exactly. Are you taking that away from a group of kids who can do better,
can make an impact quickly?
So a lot goes into play when making all those decisions. So really, it's a matter of where the culture, second the cutoff point, and then after that, try to find the coaches and the management. When you talk to most of them, you can find who can be your allies. Because change comes very difficult. People will resist.
Yes.
From that point going, you go into there's the sports side of it, and then there is the management. I always still say management. I say the politics side.
The leadership.
Exactly. Absolutely. You have to have allies, and then in bringing in new changes. Where that comes very difficult to a lot of people. And when you try to make changes, you will have a lot of people who have been comfortable in that situation for so long that will resist.
And something you guys don't understand is a lot of these clubs have guys, 30, 40 years old, still playing basketball, and they're set in their ways. Their wife may be on the board of the club, and there's all kinds of political stuff going on that you have to tread very carefully, because you're the new guy, right? Because you can go, because that guy's been in the club since he was a little kid, and he lives in the neighborhood. So there's a lot of landmines that have to be navigated, and that's what one of the things that Kingsley does very well is navigating those landmines and finding a way to drag this whole club kicking and screaming into a new way of doing things. I'm sorry, go ahead. So we had to. So we talked about change. We talked about managing change a little bit. So you're also a businessman. So how do you take this change? How would suppose me? Okay, say I go to a new business and I'm a new manager. All right. I'm a new manager and I come in and I'm like, what's the first thing I should do when I want to bring change?
Well, like you said rightly that I'm a businessman and I'm also a sportsman. Because the sports part of it is more recreational than business. Although there's a business side of it, to it.
But there's still that love.
But you see, you play more. You have to play politics when it comes to that sports part of it because it's because of its recreational nature of it. You know how you have people who are. I mean, you deal with a lot of volunteers. You know, these people are not paid; they are working their heart out because they love their club and stuff like that. So your approach is totally different from when it comes to business. When it comes to business, both situations, results is key.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. But in business, it's more results
oriented
than process.
Okay.
You know, you will need a team to go with you in business also. You know, when you come in there and it's no different. I think with business also you have to study the culture in the club because I think everything starts with the culture that's dominating in the club. I mean, how people get along with each other, what is the philosophy of the business, and how you want
who the power players are.
Exactly.
Yeah, informal and informal.
And distance goes automatically. Nobody sets up these rules that this and that and that and that. But over the years, it develops into a very comfortable. I always say culture is the comfort level of workers or managers in a business. You know, they get comfortable with doing things in a particular way. Okay, without really sitting down and say, hey, how are we going to go about it? You know what I mean? You know, it takes its form and it can be a very competitive environment, or it can be an environment where everybody say, okay, don't worry, if it doesn't work out today, we'll do it tomorrow. You know, there are no deadlines and getting it done and stuff like that. These things just takes shape automatically over the years as people get along with each other, or the management allows things to go back one way or the other. So basically, first you have to do is just observe and see what kind of culture is it result oriented, is it body oriented, is it whatever it is, you know. So basically, that is always it's the same steps, you know, and mostly, you know, like in basketball. You know, if I'm a coach, if I take over a new team, for example, also same thing culture. But what you see is that in every situation, there's one person who leads whatever culture that is in the team. There's somebody, you know, because if you have 30, 40 people over there,
somebody they all look up to.
Yes, you know, you will have the leader and most of the time it doesn't have to be the outspoken person. You always have in a basketball team you have a captain. The captain is not always the most outspoken person. You know, you have the emotional leader. You know the
informal leader.
Exactly. So you always how a group relates to each other. It's a key that. In order to bring change, you have to have a very good understanding how people relate to each other in your organization. Exactly. You know, and whose role is in that. If you know this, it's easier to change because you can call in the emotional leader and sit him down and find a way. You can sit back and look at all these things, and then you can learn a little bit more about the emotional leader. You can learn a little bit more about the vocal leader, and you can have like in a basketball. The captain is not always the best player, you know, and the best player is not always the hard-working player. You know, these are things you have to know. You know, when you take over a team and you want to coach, you have to who's my best player. You know, who is my hardest working player. You know, who is my emotional. All these things go into how a team is managed. So when we talk about a coach knowing which buttons to press in the team, that's what we're talking about. And it's not different from business though. You know, if you want to bring in change, after knowing all these people, you learn a little bit more about the person, you know, and how he thinks and how he goes about things. So if you want to program this person to what your goals that you want, how do I do that?
That's the hard part.
So you take all these pieces that constitute the keys to change or status quo. If you get all these things, you can sit down and really plan how you want to change. So you can call these people one by one in the approach to this, because you know what you want this guy to do to effect that change. You want what the emotional leader you want to, how you want to talk to him about the changes that you want, and how you want to motivate him to go the direction you want him to go. The hardest working guy, because the hardest working guy is the guy who sets the standards of how hard we work here. You know?
And everybody respects that.
Exactly.
Yeah, everybody respects that.
And they know. If you give me every team of about, allow me to take basketball for example. If you take a team of 12 players and you sit them one by one and you ask them who is the hardest working player on your team, you will find out that at least 90% of them will point out the same guy.
The same guy, yeah.
It's not like they've sat down and talked about it and come.
But they just see it every practice, every game. Yeah.
Yes.
You're like, damn, that dude's working hard.
Exactly.
I'm glad he's working hard.
And also, damn, that guy makes me look bad.
Yeah.
I just thought I'm doing my best, trying to, run up and down. And you just go, that's how does he do that? What I mean?
Yeah.
So unconsciously, so all these things that are point about it, these players don't sit down and talk about it, but unconsciously they know these things, and they know although they don't consciously know what influence these people have on them and the team as total. They are aware of it. So the moment you consciously ask them, when they sit down and think, oh yeah, that's a guy. So everybody knows those. So these are the little things that you have to know when it comes to your team. A typical example is, when you take San Antonio Spurs and you talk about Tim Duncan, if Greg Popovich can really stand up and shout and dominate, say something to Tim Duncan, instructing him, and you was like, oh my God, you see how he talked to Duncan?
I guess I better get my stuff together.
That's right.
I guess I better start playing.
but at times it's a teamwork.
Yeah.
Greg and Tim have sat down and talked about it already. Tim knows that Greg is going to go out on him. So he'll take that. Because he knows the message that goes to other players.
Absolutely.
It makes it easier for Greg to coach the other guys. That's why Greg Popovich often says, Tim allows me to coach him. Superstars, they have to allow you to. You cannot coach them if they don't want to.
I've been there.
Believe me. If a superstar that won't allow you to coach him, you cannot coach him. So when you go to a club, these are the things you find who you can make your allies. If they have them, if you give them enough motivation to play along with you, believing that the greater goal is also in his interest, that's the key. So these are the things you have to know when you go into that's applied to business. If you want to change a culture, or if you want to change management in a team, or whether it's business or sport, you got to know
who your key players are. Absolutely.
And
hope you're taking all this in. This is good stuff. Go ahead, continue.
And you incorporate that in your plan to bring about the change.
Whatever that change is.
And you will evaluate them on a daily basis. And at times you get to a point where it's either he goes or I go. Because you cannot always bring the change the way it goes. If they allow, like I said, if the superstar allow you can get a lot done. But if the superstar, an example is LeBron James and what is the name of this coach that got oh man, I'll look it up and I'll let you. If the superstar won't let you coach him,
you're done.
You're done.
Yeah.
The team or the business will have to say, okay, it's either you or the superstar. You know what I mean?
And then the money comes into play.
Exactly.
And
so that's the way it is. It's the same in business. You come in, you have to really evaluate the situation, be observant, and those keys that are important to effect change. You got to figure that out, and based on what you have, you study the keys well individually, and then how these guys can fit into your plan to bring about change, and how you're going to communicate. everything is logged into each other. You know, and basically that's how I see change. You cannot go into a team, into a club or a business and say, well, here I am, change is coming. You know,
not with adults.
that's it. You know, that's it. There might be some other people who go in there with that fist on the table and get their changes done. You might be successful in doing that. How long you have that success? Because you need a motivated team behind you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And at times ruling with fear works, and at times it doesn't. But I would say, you know, being smart about bringing that change without losing key players in your team is always the best way to go.
Okay, all right.
You know, and that is change based on respect, not on fear. You know.
Yeah. Because I've seen several of your teams, and I've seen some of the ups and downs, and you know, and that guy is always easy to pick out. You know, there's that guy. That's the guy. That's the guy who give Kingsley problems. That's the guy.
I've had a lot of situations like that.
Yeah.
But the point is that you cannot always have this your way, even as a coach, as a leader. You got to give them also a leeway. Let them make also mistakes, and you know that's part of the thing. And at times, you always have that guy on the team that gives you some hard headaches. You got to take the good with the bad, and
absolutely.
Navigate your way through it. And most of the time, you get there, you get your results.
Yeah, but I've seen you turn a couple of guys around. I've seen long haul, but I've seen you turn a couple of guys around.
Yeah, it's easier. It's easier when they have a feeling that you have you have to. They always say the basic is that you have to tell them the truth. At times, it's tough. The truth can be very, very hard, but they will appreciate it
in the long run.
Yeah. You lie to them, you won't be there long. You might have a short success, but it won't be that long. It's always good to be truthful with them. Even the toughest kind of decisions, you got to let them know. You know,
the truth is important.
Be honest,
truthful with your people. That's important.
And I've turned some guys around, and I've had to live with some headaches. I say, okay.
As long as he can put the ball in the hoop.
What can I say? And you know that in those situations, you don't only have to live with it, but you have to also convince the rest of the team that
we've done what we can.
That's who he is. We all have to live with it. That's the toughest part of it. You know, to get all the rest of the team to understand that he's going to be what he is. You know, in every family there's one.
There's one. Yeah, I'm that one in my family.
You know, so but I'll be honest with you. Whether in business or sport, the most difficult thing to do is change management. Because the word change really is something that makes a whole lot of people uncomfortable.
A whole lot of people uncomfortable.
Change means, you know, the reason why it's called change is that you change because you are comfortable at a sport, and now you have to leave that sport for the unknown.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know,
that's hard.
If you were not comfortable there, they won't call it change. If they will call it redirection. So you're in motion, and then now you are not there. So if you want to go another direction, that's just redirection. But when you talk about change, which means you are here and you want to go to the other side, it's not a forward movement. It's
a lateral movement.
I always say lateral movement
in order to go forward.
Exactly. The forward movement is always redirection. If I'm moving this way and I'm there, it's okay, move that way. So it's a but the change is when you are comfortable at one point and you find out that it's not working, and you have to do something different. So you have to step aside and go forward. You know, it's not and people giving up their comfort is just something.
It's hard.
Oh, believe me.
Yeah.
Believe me.
Yeah. like I said, I've seen a few of your teams, and I've been through this a few times with football, going to teams, and going in and hoping for one thing, and doesn't always turn out that way. I got lucky enough that some guys have followed me like you have, and some guys have followed me from team to team, and help change the culture. When you come in with a group of guys, especially if they can play, and say, okay, these guys are really good. They listen to this guy, like you said with Tim Duncan and Greg Popovich. They listen to this guy. Oh, why shouldn't we? It makes the transition a little bit easier. Unfortunately, the guys that were me were really talented. I still love you guys, but we're a pain in my ass. but you take the good with the bad. Well, there was something else I wanted to ask you. What's for you? Once let's. I'm gonna ask you to tell me a story.
Okay.
Give me give me a point. Say you come to change this. You come to change this club. Mm-hmm. When does the light bulb go on and say, we're here? Give me a story when that happened to you.
Yeah. I remember the first time I was in Belgium.
Mm-hmm.
I was in Belgium. After my program with the youth, when we went to the national championship with the youth club, I got approached by this club, and that's a club team came to practice with.
Yeah. I remember those guys.
Yeah. So they approached me and they said, "Well, we have first they wanted me to run their youth program, and I did it for a year or two, and then they wanted me to. So after 3 years, I had a group of 17, 18-year-olds who were really ready to take the next step to get into the senior team.
Mm-hmm.
So they told me, okay, you can take over the first team. Our goal is that we want you to, over a period of time, integrate your youth players into the first team. So my first year as a head coach over there, I was at the same time coaching the junior players. Mm-hmm. They were not actually juniors; they were cadets, which means junior is from 18 years, but these kids were 17 and younger. Okay, so I was coaching their senior team, and at the same time their youth team. For the first year, I didn't use any of the youth players, but the second year, I had the whole team move over to the first team. And that was
that's
for my balance. I needed some veterans to stay to really give me the balance that I needed, and that's where what we talk about change. I knew that was going to happen the year after that. Okay, after the first year, these young guys would be ready to play with the first team, and I sensed some serious resistance in the team.
Especially older guys. I've been playing here for 20 years.
And that was a story. That was a problem though. I had a very good relationship with the whole team, and we had a very good season at that time. And we lost our point guard. Well, we could have won for the championship, but we ended up, I think, 5th or 6th place among 12 teams in that year. And I lost my key point guard halfway through the season. So for that position at that time was really good. The problem was that the management wanted what I wanted, and they thought I was moving too fast. They thought I was moving too fast. So I told them that the senior players I wanted to stay. There was only 4 of them out of the 10 players. 4 of them that I want 4 of them. So I practically wanted those guys off the team, and they just couldn't take it.
Man,
they thought that change was too radical.
It's radical.
Basically, I'm stubborn like that. If I want something, I'll have to push it through. We sat down, we talked a lot. They talked to the players without really letting them know what my intentions was. It was tough, so they decided not to do that. But I said, okay, no problem. I'll gradually introduce them in and stuff like that. But when it comes to the situation like that, you have some players in mind that you don't want to use anyway. So now for another season,
weeding those guys out.
Weeding these guys out. And so all the junior players, youth players, are always eligible to play in the first team anyway, without having to go through any special registration and stuff. They can play with the first team anyway. So what I did was that I had to challenge these kids, okay, the young guys, to perform at the same level as these older guys that I wanted to. So what we agreed was that all the players were going to stay. You know, I think one guy was going to stop. The guard that got injured was not coming back, so I had 8 already. So I could use 2 players, and I could get in more players anytime. I could do whatever I want at that time. But they were practicing together at that time. So there was a constant evaluation and comparison about the youth players and the older players at that time. And
so they had to meet that level.
Yeah. But what I did was that I really challenged these kids at practices to go at these older guys and really
show them that you're ready to play.
Yeah. So at one point there was a game. There was a festival, yearly festival that takes place in Belgium outside. They call it Carnival. I think you know Carnival.
Yeah. I know a little bit about Carnival.
And
Carnival for some people. It depends on where you are in the world.
Exactly. Yeah. So at the Carnival, all these older guys, they like to go and party.
Yeah.
So if there's a game, most of them don't show up. You know.
Perfect opening.
Perfect opening. And we had an important game at that time, and I was going to have to go to the game with 5 or 6 players. So I invited these youth guys. And we went there, and it was against a really tough team. And these guys performed. They performed. So I mean, the board of the technical team was there. You know, technical director of the club, and some of the managers and stuff like that were all there. And they saw it, they were like, "Oh wow!" Not that it's not like they've not seen anything that these kids can do, but they do it against youth players. So they always thought they cannot do the same.
I think I remember this thing. He had a little white kid, his point guard, jump out of the gym.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, the energy with. I always say this: you cannot beat the energy that these kids can use to play.
Playing Kingsley ball.
Yeah, they go up and down the court like they're crazy. They will dive on the floor. They will do all those little things that the older guys. I'm not saying that the older when you're older, you're more experienced. You know, you're always one step ahead.
You're crafty.
Exactly. You know, you also so you don't have to use so much energy as this. But if a younger guy can use his energy to make you uncomfortable, you know, that's the point. Young guys, your goal is not to really compete with him because they're experienced, they're smarter than you. You don't want to go into that area. What you want to do is make them uncomfortable with your energy. You know, just ruffle them up, force them to do things differently. That
take them out of their comfort zone.
Exactly. You know, so that's basically the key with how we play. So after that game, we thought, okay, we could try more games like that.
Right back where you want to start.
You know, so basically, although we started saying no, I mean, halfway through the season, these kids were playing.
I love it.
You know, these kids were playing. And every year, 2 teams go up and 2 teams we promote with 2 teams. So 2 teams are going to go up. And
well, let me explain that. When in this level of play, there's different levels, right? The top 2 teams will go up, and the bottom 2 teams will come down. Like it's like this is Class A, this is Class B. At the end of the season, the top 2 teams will go up, and the bottom 2 teams will come down. That way, you keep some fresh blood.
Competition gets tougher as you go up.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
No.
Okay.
So although we started the season with 7 of that old guys, you know, and 3 youth guys who just come into field. By the end of the first half of the season, okay, we were playing with 6 of the young guys and 4 of the older guys.
Right where you started from.
Exactly. You know, exactly. And believe me, we could have been champions that year but we just missed. I think if I had my way in the beginning of the season, we would have been champions.
Yeah.
You know, we ended up second place and we had to promote. At that point, we know that the other 4 older guys
aren't as useful as they used to.
So at that point, we know our younger generation was coming.
They
have arrived.
Yeah.
So for personally, the key was that the management and the technical team really didn't believe that these kids were ready. You know, and it's not only about that. Also, they were if they didn't have any option. Let's say at the end of the season, some of those guys they didn't have option. They would have gone out. But because they had the comfort of these older guys being there, change became a difficult thing for them. But when it was forced on them,
it's here now.
And at the end of the season, when we played second and we were going to go, they were so excited. They really did. Kingsley, what do you want to do? I kept 2 guys and let the other 2 guys go. So the following year, I had only 2 guys who were older than 18 on my team. Going out to a really serious level. So basically, at that point, I knew we had arrived. You know, basically that's how it goes.
That was the click point.
Exactly. But basically, I mean, I always say coaching of leadership of management also. At times, it's more guts than you have to listen to your instinct a little bit. At times, you can feel something about your team and go with that.
Yeah, and other people don't see it.
Exactly.
Yeah, because you're not there with these guys every day.
You know, so basically, those things factor into a lot of things that you do when you find yourself in management and change situations, because you cannot always go with X and O's and all those kind of things. At times, you really have to feel, because I always say coaching has a lot to do with feeling. You got to feel your team. You got to feel the mood in your team. Because I always believe that your team will play exactly the way you want them to. And I don't intended or exactly. Not. And I don't think that your team's energy level should be higher than the coach. So you always have to be on the same level in terms of energy with your team, or a little bit higher. You know, but you have to be under control. That is always a fact. You know, you cannot be too high, too low. But you have to be able to adopt a level of energy that is consistent. You know, at times you can afford to be laid back when your energy guy picks up for you. If you have a team that you have an energy guy, you can afford to stay back, because he will make sure that exactly. But if you don't have that, you as a coach, you have to be always
push. Sometimes pull, but push.
And that's what I mean by knowing your team a little bit. You feel the energy too low, you can pull your mind and say, listen, our energy is low. We gotta go out there, yell a little bit, pump a little bit, and get a team going. And then they say, hey guys, come on, we gotta do this. If you have the guy who steps in and say, let's go guys, and you see everybody picks up and then it spends a lot of energy for you as a coach.
Absolutely.
Especially when you know the buttons to push and how to get them. If you need a bit of hard work, you got to tell your hardest worker, look, you got to push this button, man. You got to get these people who follow you when you keep running. And then he goes in there, he throws himself down a little bit, and he jumps, and everybody is getting, and then everybody
picks it up.
It's knowing what you need at one time and who is going to give it to you.
And how to get it out.
of that thing, So basically, when you know all these kind of things, that's when you say you know your team. You can feel your team. That's an ultimate level that every coach has. You can go through. There are times you can find yourself in a situation where you can go through a whole season without really getting that feeling with your team. It's a terrible place to be as a coach.
I've been there too. That's time my guys didn't go with me.
every game you look into, how do I get? It's a terrible place. That has happened to me a couple of times. That really, I never could get hold of the team. I never could really get it. And there are times you walk in and you make your observations and you start talking to the players one-on-one and knowing what they can do and how they fit in the team and everything. everything clicks, and when you push this button, it goes, and push that button, it goes. Oh, you're like, oh boy, I love this. You can sit back and at times people will be looking at it. The coach doesn't do anything. Yeah, I don't have to do anything. All my work done, right?
My job is to do stuff.
All I have to do is say, and then he knows what I need, and
he knows what makes it happen. Yeah,
that's an ideal situation. You know? And a lot of coaches don't get to that point, or managers don't get to that point where they know how to push the buttons of the organization to get a maximum out of them. But if you're lucky and you find that, man, it's an ideal place to be.
Okay. All right. I got one more question for you. It's unplanned. It just occurred to me now.
No problem.
All right. Some of you may have met. Some, of course, you guys don't know. All right. My youngest son, Xavier, this is his godfather. His youngest daughter, I'm her godfather. All right. So, Amy, my goddaughter, his daughter, was recently in a tournament, a basketball tournament. She's an up and coming basketball star. She plays Kingsley ball, baseline to baseline. Her coaches love it. So I know it's a little bit off of change management, but as a coach, how do you deal with a child that talented? How do you help them become better without becoming that mean dad?
Oh, bro.
You curveball. Because I'm a mean dad.
Oh, bro. I tell you, man. Oh, man. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Yo, I'll be honest with you. I have had my struggles with Amy. Serious. I tell you, serious.
Yeah.
It's because I love her so much. And
you want the best for her, yeah.
There are very often times we go to a basketball court and I'll be coaching, and when I walk on court, I'm a totally different person.
Yeah, no shit.
At home we play, we do our own thing. But I walk on court, I don't see her as my daughter.
Yeah,
she cannot change that. She walks on court, she wants me to teach her basketball, but she doesn't want to. She can't really deal with my way of coaching. You know what I mean?
But she turned out to be a player.
Yeah.
like you coach. That's a crazy part, yeah.
The point I'm trying to get to is that I really have to also sit back and say, okay, if I really want to help her, I cannot stay in that battle with her. She seeing me as a father and I walking on court and being a coach and trying to, performance oriented coach, and you gotta do that, She's not getting used because I don't do that with her at home. We'll chill, we'll cool, we'll watch films together, we sit down, we play games, we talk, we do all those father-daughter stuff and things like that. And she thinks that. So I have to find a way, to use what we have to get what we want.
Get her where she needs to be,
and or what she needs, and that was a battle. But I finally found a way to do that, and it's been very, very positive. It's been very, very positive.
So the change manager got to change the way he manages.
I say, okay, I'm not a coach. Okay, I know I'm a coach. I know I do what I do, but in this situation, it's not working. So do I stay in that, or I just have to find a way to get it done? And that's how I did. I found a way to walk on court with her and try to let her do her own things, and then put my things. Let her feel like I'm just adding to what she's doing. I'm not trying to do. And then I'll make suggestions. At times I make suggestions. No, I don't want to do it. I want to do my way. Okay, no problem. And sometimes she will find out that maybe Daddy was right. But she's a very, very determined woman. And I say woman, girl, but she really works hard when she believes that something is in her own interest. So all I have to do is that find a way to convince her that it's better for her to do it this way than the other way. And then when she's convinced, it takes on, and then she keeps working at it. And because she knows that I love her unconditionally. What I mean by that is that the way I relate to her, basketball has nothing to do with that. She can go to a game and have a bad game, and as analytic as I am, I can watch a game and see what she's doing. But I won't say a word. I won't say a word. And she asked me, "How did I do?" I said, "Oh, you did okay. You did good." No, but I didn't do that. I said, "Yeah, I did good. A few things here and there you could have been different. You did very well." And she looked at me like, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, really." So I'll leave it at that for a while. For a while, yeah. I'll leave it at that for a while. But she will always come back.
We can't let her watch this, yeah.
She will always come back and say, "Okay, maybe I could have done that." Yeah, I think you could have done that. But see, there are other kids who get that far without having a daddy coaching them. You understand what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what I do should be an extra. It shouldn't be a. You know what I mean? I have to try. I have to give her the room to develop that independent development that she needs, and then I can just help and put stuff into it, things like that. That's how it worked for us.
That's good. That's good.
That's how it works. There are times that she will say, "Come on, Dad, Mom, let's go and work. Let's go and work. Let's go and work." And I'll be very happy, and I'll go and work. And there are times she just wants to be Papa, Daddy, daughter, play. Now I have a better feeling to feel of that. Before when I said, "Let's go," I think, "Oh, let's go." Then we'll go and work. No.
That you want?
That she just wants to go out there and shoot around and play one-on-one against me and beat me at times. I beat her at times. And, at times that's all what she wants to do.
Yeah.
But at the beginning I thought, no, she said she wants to work out, so let me go and work her out. So it was really an up and down struggle, but I think we found where I can feel now very well what she wants when she says let's go and play, and I can feel very well what she wants to play basketball or she wants to learn basketball. But I've enjoyed every minute of our time on the court and stuff like that. I still look forward to more time like that.
That's great. All right, brother. I think that's it, man. Tell them how they can get in touch with you, brother.
Oh, I'll give Mike the information, and
I'll put it in the description.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right. So this is my main man, Kingsley Augustus Hayford, my brother.
Yeah, bro. Good seeing you, man.
Good seeing you, man. I haven't seen him in 2 years. It's been 2 years since I saw him. We talk like maybe once a month, once every other month, but never any love lost. The brother's always been here for me. Man, at some of my lowest times of my life, this dude has been there. Right? So let's if I can't give my brother some applause. Right? So that's it for this episode of the Louisa Project. I think I'll just put this as the weekly episode. Again, there'll be contact information for Kingsley at the bottom. If you have any questions about change management, if you have any questions about coaching, managing a club, putting together a youth program, any of that good stuff, shoot Kingsley an email, and I'm sure he'll be glad to help. I'll let y'all work that out, how that happens. I don't get involved in that, but again, this is the Louisa Project 2027, where we discuss education, entrepreneurship, and innovation. This has been a great discussion about change management and a whole lot more. Thank you very much for your time, brother.
Yeah, I really appreciate this opportunity, man, to share my experience.
Man, it was fun, bro. It was fun.
I love it.
I learned something forever, man.
Memories were flowing out, bro. Oh, we've had a ball.
Yes, sir.
We've had a ball.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Maastricht is my favorite town in Europe. Not just because he's here, but I mean, this is if you want to go somewhere where it's quiet and you just want to be around people, not just in the touristy places. If you want to go to some place in Europe, especially during the summer, especially you guys who like to look at the pretty girls, not that I do anything like that,
Oh, no.
I gave that up long ago.
Okay.
All right. Maastricht is a great place to hang out. There are people here from all over the world. It's a great environment. It's growing so fast. The University of Maastricht, where my niece Amy, Flor, my other niece, Kingsley's daughter Flor, she goes to she's done, isn't she? She graduated from the University of Maastricht. It's a great school, great town. If you want to go somewhere quiet, which it's a great place to be. Maastricht is an awesome place to be. Sorry, Flor. Hey, Sana. Sana's his other daughter. Okay. All right. I cover my bases. That way I don't get in trouble with my nieces. Yeah. All right. Much love, everybody. And again, this is the Louisa Project 2027. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope you enjoyed this video as much as we did. And see you soon.
Peace.
Peace.